Report. Okay, it is now 6:36 p.m. and I'm going to call for order this regular meeting of the Von Ormy City Commission. Madam City Administrator, would you call for one?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Raymond Guzman Jr., Commissioner Sebastian Martinez, Mayor Art Martinez Guevara,
Present.
Mayor Guerra.
All right, we'll stand for the invocation and the pledge of allegiance.
Okay. God, thank you for giving us the opportunity to hold this, for this regular meeting. Help us to make a good decision, the right decision, to do benefit the city of Von Ormy. We ask this in your name, amen. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll start with agenda item 1, consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the Board of Commissioners. There will be no separate discussion on the items and will be enacted in one motion unless removed by any board member to discuss and consider separately by making such request prior to a motion and vote. So we have A, approval of the minutes in the packet, B, approval of police statistics, and C, approval of the financial update. Any of the commissioners want to hold in these items or have any questions? No. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I added some extra stuff in it for you.
Okay.
On the, like, payroll line, in the financial report.
Okay.
So, as far as the CMRS and
motion to approve. We're ready?
We have a motion, we have a second.
That's it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Discuss, consider possible action regarding real estate financial mechanisms.
it's not in your packet because I got it later.
So those are all the commissioners.
Yeah, everybody has one.
Okay. So we asked Mr. Quiroga, our financial advisor, to give us estimates on tax notes, the range of 400,000 to 600,000. See there, in the middle range of 500,000 for 7 years. The annual payment is 112,000 with the first 2 years interest only. The second is 75 per year for the first interest only, and for the 15 it's 53. Now we're still waiting on the appraisal. Is that correct? Okay. So check out. I guess we have to wait for the appraisal to really make a final decision. Okay. Well, we'll possibly call a special meeting when that appraisal comes in. It comes in before the next regular meeting. Are there any questions on the estimates? So if you weren't here at the special meeting, one of the ideas we had, we have a possibility of getting some land on I-35 over there between Ridgecrest and Mr. Lynch, 2 acres or 3.5 acres, right on the interstate. And one of the things we're looking at is if we were to purchase that on a certificate of obligation, if we did interest only the first, it has somebody leasing the property, so it has an income. So if we were able to purchase it with 2 years of interest only, then the income from that lease could potentially pay off the current note we have on Blue Building, finish that off, and then roll over to start paying for that property. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. But we don't have the appraisal back, so we can't make a final decision. But these are the estimated costs. And frankly, the 15-year note would be roughly the same as what we're paying now on Blue Building, but like 1,000 less.
Yes.
So it would essentially have a neutral impact on our current budget, or budgets we've had for the last 7 years. So that's a possibility.
Question, is the rate of state still on?
Well, it would be for whatever we purchase. That's a possibility. These are just estimates of what it would cost if we want to buy done, one, or both.
I think last time we talked about getting both good.
it's up to the commission, but once we get the appraisals, we can talk about which ones.
Well,
But this tells us the cost.
We had one appraisal, and we waited on the other.
Yes, correct.
Appraisal and that.
Yes, the evaluation on it, yes. And basically, if we were to do both, from what Mr. Lynch is offering, it basically just double. These values, if we were doing both. So it's going from 52 to 104, from 112 to 2, roughly, because they're roughly the same cost.
Okay. That was close.
Okay, any other questions? Here and none, we'll go to agenda item number 3, discuss and possible participation in the Purdue Pharma LP and Sacra Family Settlement, National Opioid Settlement. Jake, do you have an update on that?
Yeah, so reviewing everything, the new form that we got, we do need to fill out to participate. Even if we are already getting settlement checks from other opioid settlement cases, this is a new one, and so the recommendation is that we approve participation in the settlement.
Is there any kind of estimate on that would be?
No idea what the amount is.
So currently, we periodically get like $150 checks, but it's, well, I don't know about the new one, I know the other one that we're in, it's 15% of the settlement goes to all the municipalities, so it depends on the settlement. Will it be through the comptroller, do you know?
I don't.
Yeah, so it's the state of Texas, they've approved it, and you're opting into participation in Texas's portion of the settlement.
Their only other option would be to opt out, sue ourselves, which we're not gonna do, or do nothing and get nothing, so, okay. Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to instruct the city attorney to fill out whatever paperwork we need to participate in settlements.
Make a motion to participate in Purdue Pharma LP Family Settlement.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I said,
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Agenda item number 4, discuss and consider establishing America 250 Committee to plan the 4th of July festivities in 2026. As y'all probably know, next 4th of July is the 250th anniversary of America. And so I think most communities are going to be doing a little bit extra. So I thought maybe we would start early and put a committee together to figure out what are we going to do. We're going to have a parade, we're going to have a fireworks show, we're going to do something, maybe put something in the park, a Liberty Bell, a statue, whatever. But I would start early so we can figure that out. I know before the 4th of July, I talked to Mr. W. Fireworks, and they used to do fireworks shows for us a long time ago. And they said they would like to do that again. I've reached out, but I know this is their busiest, craziest time, so I would expect a response for another month or so, but maybe we can partner with them for a fireworks spectacular. So I guess today we just want permission to create such a committee, maybe to get community volunteers, people that want to help organize. From my recollection, when we had the bicentennial, is when we started the Bonham Fire Department, because they wanted to, that's what they always said. They had to start a fire department to get a permit to do the parade and the fireworks show. And so that was in our community for like 40 years or whatever it was. So we should probably do something, it'd be nice to do something special and leave it there. We did the 250.
I'll make a motion there to set up.
Okay.
So we can start working on
All right, we have a motion, do we have a second?
we have American Legion here.
Okay.
I think American Legion could support the city.
So, yeah.
If we have 45 members.
Sure. Well, I think the committee should come up with whatever basic idea that we want to do, and then approach, like, partner with the Legion, maybe we can partner with Mr. W, maybe go to some of the businesses, and do something extra nice. We also probably got to figure out what else is going on. Maybe we do art, we do it on the 4th, we do it on the 3rd, whatever. I'd like to leave something permanent if possible, a plaque or something would be interesting. All right, so we have a motion in a second. Do we want to establish any kind of parameters, or just ask for volunteers? We should probably have a couple staff members like
volunteer.
volunteers.
So you're gonna meet here.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think?
want him to do.
You have permanent, they'll show up. If you volunteer, they come.
Well, so it's probably a mix. When's the next,
Me and you,
yeah, when's the next communication to the, if we have a,
Wait,
meeting
what?
list?
we need to put one out for this quarter.
Okay. Let's put that in the team for volunteers. I see some, y'all have.
What do you put in the newsletter?
Yeah,
What do you put in?
so the newsletter for volunteers. If anybody like to serve, let us know. Okay, let's put it out there. Maybe put an internal, goal of having the committee ready in 60 days, you know, so it doesn't linger. Okay. All right, we had a motion, we had a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Carries. Number 5, discuss an update from South Texas Infrastructure Group on the sewer project. Who's here?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, and Valerie. I'll give a quick update on the, where we're at. We have received the USA from SAWS. The USA is the agreement between SAWS and San Antonio Water Supply and the City of Army. We're working out some details on the actual agreement because there's some items there that we need to iron out. And we met with the county commissioner to see if she can help us on the agreement itself between the city and SAWS. At the end of the day, what we'd like is to benefit the citizens and also benefit SAWS and ourselves also, of course. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we connect to sewer, to the SAWS. We received the phase 1 environmental already from Halloween, from the environmental group. They also determined what belongs to the waters of the United States. They have to do a study since we're going to be doing basically a trunk line along the corridor of 35. And there are several creeks and ditches that it crosses, so they have to do a study to make sure that those impacts were not going to there were not severe impacts. The biggest impact is going to be crossing the river, the Medina River, of course, and just wrote this down. We mapped some of the streams and the ditches, but we only believe that the Medina River is likely jurisdictional. And in some respects, it would be the easiest if we would avoid all of them because with approval from the U.S. Corps of Engineers, if there will be impacts, some of the streams and ditches, we will likely need approval from the jurisdictional determination from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. But it's their opinion that all of the creeks are non-jurisdictional except for the Medina River, and of course the Medina River we would ask for a permit to cross, and we will cross the Medina. Of course, the next step with the environmental engineers is to submit to the U.S. Corps of Engineers on that crossing, and that will determine exactly what parameters we have for us to bore. What are the limits of the bores that we're going to be doing underneath that river? So basically, on the plans, we're about 60% done, and what we need to do is finalize the USA in order for us to continue with the plans. We cannot continue the plans until SAWS basically reviews it. I know we've been back and forth with SAWS, and we finally got it, but there's some questionable, I guess,
Expenses,
the way.
the expenses.
Yeah, questionable expenses that SAWS would like under the USA agreement that we want some help from, hopefully the general manager, the CEO, president, and that's the idea. Is to the next step is to sit down with him and reorganize the agreement and do a joint use agreement or a different type of agreement instead of the USA that they have, and treat us like developers. Of course, our commitment would be that any development that occurs in the future, after the infrastructure is laid down, we will certainly follow all of the, SAWS, policies that they have in place. So I'll leave a copy of the Holloway report. I'll leave two.
What about the Texas Parks and Wildlife study?
That's being done by these people. Aside from the ESA, they have to do the Texas Parks and Wildlife and also, finalize the federal, environmental that they need to finish to turn into that $1.5 million grant that we got from the Congressman's office. So those are a couple of things that they just didn't provide.
I need to send that or try to send?
No, we need to discuss and then we'll send it. We need to have a meeting with the environmental group so that we can have them send it. Outside of that, that's basically the continuation of what we're doing.
What about, I know we had annually, we applied to Water Development Board.
Yes, we haven't received the notice yet from the first this last application that we did this March. Of course, this application that we did in March, should be giving us a lot more points than we previously had because of not only the grant that we have with Bear County, but also the grant that we have with the Congressman's office, the 1.5 for construction. The idea is to, hopefully after we get ranked, is to go back to sit down with them and let them know that we're almost done with the shovel-ready plans. But at the same time, we have to work with SAWS to finalize that, but that's the goal.
How much did we ask for, in that one? What was
We asked for 14,
Phase one, right?
yeah, phase one,
Yeah.
14 million?
14 million.
And that's for phase one construction?
Phase one construction, yes.
Is that the same program that the legislature just did the additional $1 billion a year?
Well, according to, that's the understanding is that
Okay.
the legislature was supposed to help us in this go around of this,
With additional money?
yes.
Okay, and as far as the right-of-way acquisition phase, when does that start?
Now that we've done the environmental and the ESA is basically approved, it's basically open for us to discuss in your next meeting if you'd like. So we can have a little executive session and discuss the possibilities of acquisition.
Anybody else have any
When we get permission of
for the landowners, right? Yeah, we had to finalize the exact route of the line, right?
Yes.
Obviously, before you go and ask for permission.
Yes, and that's basically the last thing that we're working with SAWS on, because I know SAWS would like for us to cross the river, northwest of 35, on the westerly side, where the railroad tracks are at. We currently had it continuing down 35, but I know it's City of San Antonio, property owners that are on the north side of the Medina. So those are, I guess we find the easiest route for everybody, right? That's the idea.
So that's still yet to be determined where.
Yes, yes. That's why the SAWS, the USA is very important for us to finalize before, and I guess the economics has to play a big role in that, to do with what they're asking for, so.
So you're saying we're more inclined to go on the south side of 35, like my neighborhood road and the church and the post office?
That might be the easiest way to do it. I know we discussed it last time, a couple of months ago. That might be the easiest way to cross the Medina and follow that route. But we can't do anything until they tell us exactly where they would want to do that. But that's something that we're proposing, right?
Any other questions? Good.
Where is it starting at and where is it ending?
So sewer ends at the dump, right? So where you dump at. So sewer basically is gonna be connected to,
I do not know where we dumped at.
There's a 60-inch line that crosses 35, about half a mile north of the Medina River.
Okay,
By the Union Pacific.
Yes.
oh,
Yes.
okay.
And that's gonna be basically where the sewer line dumps at. And that's the connection point that, SAWS has already approved to connect to, right?
Okay,
And then it's gonna run, right now currently, the route that we have is for it to run on the south side of 35, on 35 all the way down to 1604. With 2 lift stations. The first lift station being the furthest north and closest to the river, above the banks. We all know what happens after we get flash flood, so
Absolutely.
above the banks. And then the second lift station would be at the 1604 and 35 intersection.
and then you're wanting to go on the other side also,
Yes,
later.
well, the idea is to capture, okay, you're talking about the west side of 35.
My side, yeah,
Yes, well, at the same time, with this trunk line, it'll be connected to the west side.
got you,
Yeah, we would have a connection from this trunk line to the west side,
right.
before Benton Road.
So
on the
will
north
all
side.
of us be following that?
Excuse me?
Will you take over Anastosa?
So, well, the different CCNs, right now, we're finalizing this plan. And as soon as this plan is finalized, there's gonna be, the CCNs for the water supply is something that I believe the city's working on. Um,
To get
But-
permission or
to
whatever?
get permission to do one or the other. But at the end of the day, SAWS owns the rights to the sewer.
Okay.
Yes.
And Atascosa right now is the majority of the city except for like Laramie Heights.
Yeah.
Which is SAWS.
So are we talking about sewer? You're talking about no septic tank, right? That's what you're talking
That's
about?
Right.
Okay, what about the water system?
The
Is
water-
that all the thing? Is that what he's talking about?
They're 2 separate things.
That's what I thought.
Right, so, there may be some discussion, but I think the plan right now is SAWS the sewer and the water stays the way it is.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
how we find
okay, okay.
a better, yeah, and I know, you know, with Atascosa, and I know SAWS, they've had discussions about having Atascosa take over, which I think would be great.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Of course, they always want to swap something, so,
Right,
and they'll probably swap something that isn't in our city, so it's hard, you know.
right.
But there's that discussion, so, well.
So what kind of dates are we looking for? He said he wanted to start right away, no, we're waiting for the environmental or
Well,
whatever.
this has been going on for a long
I
time.
know that.
And it's basically, it's a process that we unfortunately have to follow other rules and
Right,
policies,
right,
right?
right.
And we're planned is basically to finalize, the plan by the end of, this fall.
Well, okay.
And hopefully by November, we should have, everything done and ready to start construction at the end of the day.
Good.
So,
But this USA issue is primarily a political one, I think.
yes,
We're gonna have to overcome that hurdle, otherwise it could be delayed.
And what's the political thing about it?
They want us to pay them $980,000 or so
To give them the sewer.
for maintenance, prepaid maintenance and impact fees, and then give them the whole system. So they're basically treating us like a private developer, like, rather than a city,
But
right?
can they do that?
Well,
That's a lot of
I
money.
mean, again, that's why I think it's a political, we need to kind of go higher up and talk to them.
Okay,
Because when we're talking to the engineers, they've got policies and regulations
Right.
that they try to utilize. And I think I don't
And
think
where
it's
do-
very common.
where do we fall in it? Well, we're like an under income place.
Right. Well, I think the reality is it's very unusual for a city to initially get sewer from them. Because there's not a lot of new cities. So this doesn't happen very often.
Oh,
So like, you know, they do service suburban cities, but they probably had SAWS for decades.
right.
Right, and so the city isn't moving into main infrastructure to start, so I think that's where part of the disconnect is. What we're doing is fairly rare, especially here.
so there's a big difference between a city like, what's the name of the city right north on Broadway?
Yeah, Alamo Heights.
Yeah, so there's a big difference between Alamo Heights and
Well,
Guarami,
yeah.
or any other city that's around.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
so it's like chicken and egg, we're trying to get the first thing, and, that's why we went to go talk to the commissioner, we're trying to set a meeting with the congressman, because they were able to get us collectively $4.5 million,
Right,
and now they're putting this $980,000 speed bump in front of it, and they need to realize, hey, you know, we're all trying to, get this. Anyway, so that's an issue that is an unknown variable at time. So, but we're working on, the commissioner gave us her support, she's gonna be sending a letter explaining why the county gave us $3 million, and, you know, they're trying to,
Right.
you know, get us on our own, so it should be a one-time, unique thing, and we're trying to get the same from the congressman, or Saws has to deal with that commissioner, Saws has to do with the
So
congressman,
ultimately, we're trying to get what do you call it?
a fee waiver.
There you go,
Basically.
later, I think it's both,
Yeah.
We're trying to get everything as best as possible. We applied to the Water and Loom Board as we have since 2017.
Right.
But now we basically have a little bit more teeth to try to see if we can get more funding from them.
Right. And the other option then is to try to find funds, I don't know if that 14 million would include it, or we could just pay the fee out of another grant or something like that, that's another,
Right.
but that takes longer too, or maybe some combination, if we can do, you know. So, and that's why I say it's kind of more of a flip, we need to go sit down and talk to the
Okay.
decision makers that saw who could do those kind of things with weight policies and stuff.
Yeah, the engineers are following the policy.
Yeah. And so we've kind of exhausted that level of authority yet, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you for coming up.
Yes.
Move on to agenda item number 6, discuss and consider location of the municipal impound lot and authorization to start construction using staff and all other matters. I know at the last meeting that staff agreed to put the cones out, so if you had a chance to go back and look at it, it was a little bit bigger than I had thought, and Valerie said it was bigger. And so there was a smaller footprint, not tremendously smaller, but that makes it make a little bit more sense. And I say this little money, you can always expand it if you need. It was less impactful than I had originally thought. I thought it was going to take a lot more. So I don't know if everyone had a chance. I think had a chance to look at the codes.
I looked at it a year ago.
Okay. So all right. So the proposal now is to go ahead and move forward again to use our existing staff to do the construction.
I will say, I did ask for a bid to have a grade to see if it's cheaper than renting the equipment. So if it's cheaper to do it that way than renting the equipment, we'll do it. If not, we'll do it in-house.
Okay.
Whichever's cheaper.
Okay. So the motion, I guess, we're looking for a motion to authorize the beginning of construction at the smaller footprint and use the cheaper of staff or renting the greater.
And we will do that. See what the cheapest value is.
Right.
And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second.
I said,
All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Agenda item number 7, discuss and consider setting a schedule for residential services and performance town halls being surveyed.
We have this.
Okay. That's in the packet. Basically, what we're going to do a weekly meeting.
Just revenue.
So it's all in August?
Yes.
Okay. So we got Alamo River, Francisco Reese Lane, Osset Drive, and 3564. Looks like it's every Monday and then the 28th of August as well. These are all in the afternoon, right?
Yes, yes.
Do we have locations or are we going to do it here?
We're gonna do it here or like in the bay or something.
Okay. Are there any questions or?
If y'all wanna give us parameters, Brandon and I have been like kicking it around.
Yeah, I know, talking to Valerie, there's been some discussions about creating a strategic plan.
Right.
For the city, so I know this is going to be getting information for y'all to, fill your strategic plan. And at the same time, there's another item on the agenda we're gonna talk about, continuing some of the comprehensive planning work. And so as you know, Mayor and the board, there's strategic plan and comprehensive plan are different measures. There's synthesis and there's overlap on them, but a comprehensive plan where it deals with physical development of the city. Strategic plan is more operational, gets into more economics, talks about capital improvements, those types of things. But there's overlap. So I think that would be my question to y'all, as somebody that'll be assisting with the surveys. Do y'all have in mind some primary goals? Like a lot of times city strategic plans have like 5 overarching things you want to look at, like economic development. And maybe that can help for us to create a survey for y'all to look at, make sure like.
I know for me, what I want to do is survey the residents as far as what they want. Not necessarily what we want, and it could be that the residents don't want us to do anything.
Yeah.
That might be an option, like, they like it, we don't want to do the building, you know, or they might want to, you know, some long-term planning, like, I've heard a lot, you know, people don't want apartment, you know, or high-density residential, just, you know, the residents' visions of the city. I know, you know, a lot of surveys you can kind of lead by the way you ask. I want it to be kind of the other way to kind of find out what people are really concerned with, you know, so that we can address that. Is it the roads, is it animal control, is it zoning, you know, what that is, what type of development they would like to see in the city, what type they would like, what services they want, services they don't care about, what services that the city is providing that they think could be better, or how, you know, that kind of thing. And then we can come back and digest it and use that as a roadmap on when we do our budget, our planning moving forward. I don't know, we've done some similar things, but and hopefully, you know, in order to get participation, that's always a challenge. I know when we did this, you know, 15 years ago, we did it in those areas, and we were a new city, so there was a little more. I think people were more interested in stuff. But we need to figure out a way to actually kind of drive people, whether it's signage on those areas, really advertising, trying to push folks. That's what I'm interested in. I mean, you want to get the opinion of the residents without us coming in and saying, hey, we've got to develop this first thing. Most people, oh, that sounds good. But so without us trying to like force anything on top of it, was my.
Do you have any like example surveys that you definitely want to take y'all's?
Yeah.
Any kind of particular approaches or things that can guide us, or board members, if y'all have anything, you know?
I could probably pull out the stuff we did before, but it was really basic.
You mean like in the master plan?
I mean, we would just like, you know, we would try to, like, we would do a brainstorming session, like, what services do people want? And we had 0. People would say, you know, animal control, we want park, I wasn't surprised when somebody we wanted equine center. You know, it ended up being like number 2 in the survey. And then we had people rank them, and then we took like the top 5 and said, oh, that's what we're gonna get, right? Of course, now we're 15 years into the city, so it's a little bit different. I think we need to do some of that and some of how would you rank our current services. Like, what do you think of our police department? What do you think of our fire protection? What do you think of our, you know, water provider, you know, our parks, whatever, and grade them. So like if our park ends up getting a, you know, a 3 out of 10, you know, we need to up our game there, you know, or if something that has a high level of approval, then we know they're doing a good job, you know, we just kind of maintain that. So twofold, one of kind of what should we be doing,
And how are we doing?
how are we doing with our current services? And then I guess the third portion is, in the future, what do you want us to work on? Like, do we want to, you know, promote, you know, large lot residential? Do we want more trailer parks or no more trailer parks? That kind of stuff. So we know what, you know, what people want us to provide. Because, you know, we could try to develop the city as a, you know, retail, you know, along 35 corridor dense, you know, or people might say we want to be a suburban residential, just leave us nice and quiet and simple, or, you know, and I have a lot of assumptions of what people will say, but I don't want to I don't want to influence that in a negative way. But things like, you know, traffic, you know, it's pretty bad getting off of 35 to 1604. I imagine, you know, that impacts people differently based on where they live in the city. Anyway, so those 3 things. What services should we be providing? Grade and rank the services we currently have. And of course, with the ability of people to comment, so we can kind of find out why. If you think the park's a 3 out of 10, why is that? And the long-term planning as far as where do you want us to guide the city through our regulations and ordinances? What type of development do we want, what type do we don't want? And so I know in the past, we've kind of had to see the conversation a little bit by explaining some of these concepts and the types of things. Maybe we got to get the list together of the categories of services we provide, or the services that are provided in the community that we don't provide. You know, like if the fire is very low or the water is very low, that's not us, but then maybe we can work with those entities, ESD or the water company, to improve the level of service. So that's kind of helpful. I mean, if I was going to throw a quick template
Yeah, no,
and
that's
fire it
fine.
over, we can start.
That's helpful. And in brevity, of course, probably
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
8 pages, 9, just 2
Yeah.
pages or something, maybe like 20 questions.
Yeah, and we can facilitate all the whiteboards, so sometimes that helps to engage, you know, where we can do it. Yeah, if everyone's sitting there quiet, we can poll, you know, and say, oh, tell me, what do you think? Try to get it out of people,
Yeah.
and we can, just try to get a larger sample size.
There's a system that I started using recently. I don't know how expensive it is, but it's called Mentimeter. And people like come to the meeting and for a QR code, you do the quick, I mean, if everybody has a cell phone, maybe some people won't, but you just like, question comes up, what do you think about this? And they push that. And then you can actually, I mean, that might be a little too high tech for
Yeah.
what we're trying to do,
On
but
TV,
it's,
you see that,
Yeah.
and you say something stupid.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The room approval is taken.
Yes. Viewers up down.
Okay, so I guess for these, I would say if we have a whiteboard, or we can write on.
Yeah, we can set it up, yeah.
Okay, we can put together like a list of services. Or
Yeah.
concepts. And then, Brandon, you're gonna do a quick.
Maybe you can pull the stuff we did on the previous survey too.
Yeah.
What were you saying there?
Oh, sorry, are you gonna do maybe a draft of the? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I don't think we need a motion, right?
No, sure.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item, 8, discuss and update on animal control.
So we had our state inspection and there's a couple things they want us to adjust, but our certificate is in the mail. So we're at least state certified. And then we're on probation for 3 months with random inspections, and then it goes to like a full certificate.
Have we put in dollars?
Yeah, we haven't got the certificate yet, but it's on the way.
What about have we had the first meeting of the advisory committee?
No, that's the next thing. So I've got some policies that we've got to do that they'll have to go through the committee. So I've got some of those. That's where we're at.
Has that been scheduled, or we're waiting for the?
I'm waiting for that. Because we got the approval yesterday.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the animal control update? I did, when I had a meeting with Judge Sakai, I asked him about it, because the county's gonna build a 96 kennel. I asked, about our participation, and all he could say was he thought that there was gonna need to be an ILA.
I know we did a letter of support, but I do believe they said that once it got going, we would have to have an agreement.
Okay. So maybe we can fire off probably premature, but speak to the DA's office and send us the ILA. We want to be first. We want the first.
Especially the top ones,
Yeah.
we would section there for us.
Right. Okay. All right, number 9, discussion and update on public works.
I have a schedule for the brush picker.
Okay.
So if y'all still approve,
Brush pickup. We don't have a date set?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Okay, so we're gonna pick up trees, branches, limbs, and brush trimmings. All brush must be cut into manageable lengths no longer than 6 feet. Piles placed at the curb, not on the street. Are they gonna have to be down?
Yeah.
Okay. So no loose leaves, grass clippings, or yard waste. No construction debris, lumber, or household trash. No large stumps, roots, or dirt. Must be at the curb no later than Monday morning, every designated week. They will not return if you put it out after they service your street. If there's anything other than brush in the pile, Public Works will not sort through it, and the entire pile will be left. Brush will be collected annually by 10 employees and loaded by hand onto a trailer. Where is all this brush going?
Who's picking it up?
Martin,
Make sure there's no pipes.
yeah.
Are we taking it to the dump or are we?
If we can, as much as possible.
That goes through November. Okay.
Well, it's the first time we're doing it, so I don't wanna
Little
leave
dump.
it to burden some other guys. It could go faster, but. Cause they still have to do everything else too, so,
Right. Okay. Starts July 20th.
yes.
What works?
Unless y'all want something to change.
I know we put this on relatively late. Was there anything else on the public works? Or is the full done for the month? If not, we can start that next month.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have a more extensive monthly report, just like we have with the police and the animal control. Any other questions on the public works update? Hearing none, we'll move on to agenda 10. Discuss, consider partnership with the Texas Heritage Project for historical displays at City Hall. So the Texas Heritage Project is a project I've been working with for like 12 years. Their partnership between the AIT, American Indians in Texas, and Texas A&M San Antonio. And what they do is they scan photos of historical documents, right, and then they store them electronically at A&M San Antonio. But they've been here in Bellarmine. I know, like, Mary Castro has a very extensive collection. They scanned all that, so they have licenses on all of that. They scanned some of my stuff, some of our early Bellarmine stuff. Anyway, they have a lot of historical photos of Bellarmine, people that lived here a while back. So the idea here is to partner with them to use their collection to do historical printouts, basically, that we can hang in the city hall, maybe rotate them a couple times a year. So we can, or maybe even here to show some local history, right? So it's been collected. The cost should be minimal. It's just the cost of the prints. So, yeah, it should just be the cost of the printing or the framing. I would think, $20 to $30 for a print, the frame. But we can, the ask here is just, should we entertain that? And then I would have us talk to them, put together some kind of a MOU or an agreement, and then we can approve that. That would include the cost of the estimated printing or whatever. They also would be available to scan our city archives to make, and be part of that public collection. I mean, it's all public information anyway, but they're very interested in, especially some of our earlier stuff, when we formed the city and all that. Anything that we may have, it's one way to preserve it externally at A&M San Antonio, which is the closest university to it. So, I think that would be an interesting part of the conversation in case we ever have a loss of the physical documents. They would have an electronic backup for the public.
I think we should partner with the mayor, and I think that you should take care of that.
Okay, absolutely.
You work with it.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. Okay, so we have a motion to enter into a partnership with the Texas Heritage Project. We'll bring back an agreement for final approval. This is for permission to go out and actually negotiate that. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Agenda item number 11, discuss, consider possible action to adopt a hotel occupancy tax. I met with all these suburban mayors and the county judge this month, and they were talking about Project Marble. Spurs want $1.2 billion from the public to build their stadium. The judge is going to put two items on the ballot in November. One is going to be a hotel occupancy tax, and the other is the venue tax. basically to revitalize the Frost Bank Center, where the Spurs play now, and the Coliseum, and then give a portion of, provide a portion of 1.2 billion, and then the city's gonna try to increase their hotel occupancy tax. Well, that raised an issue for us, which is we don't have one right now. And I believe it's similar to our sales tax where the state authorizes a certain percentage, and once it's utilized for a project, then you can't, there's a maximum, right? So one of the reasons why we're able to have such a large amount of sales tax, we got all 2% when we first did it. The ESD is now taking all the rest of it. So had we waited, we wouldn't be able to get the 2%. So right now, it would only impact things like what Airbnbs,
And like short-term rentals.
short-term rentals, but someday we may have a hotel in the city, and I hate for all that money to go to the Spurs Stadium. So the proposal there is for us to adopt the hotel occupancy tax, to grab the maximum amount. Again, our policy has been focused on consumption taxes, so we can minimize property taxes. So this would fall in line with that, and to protect and preserve our capacity, so that when the county-wide tax comes out, it doesn't impact us. And I don't think the Spurs are gonna miss on these, $100 or $200 from our random Airbnb. I did ask the county if where was our box seat gonna be at the new Spurs Stadium, and they said, well, we don't get one. And I'm like, well, isn't the county gonna give one? Yes. Isn't the city of San Antonio? Yes. I said, well, if you want our taxpayer money, you want at least a pair of tickets that we can have a lottery to give to our residents. They just laughed. So I think we should opt out and preserve the hotel occupancy tax for ourselves, since we're not gonna get a box seat. I know I asked Jacob looking at that. Is that something we're ready to take action on, or do we still?
We're ready to go, an ordinance before you all today for consideration, and it's taking the max allowed for a municipality of 7%. And so you all can adopt it, it's a full, addition to our municipal code. Ready to go, if y'all ready to approve that.
And if for some reason in the future we ever wanted to reduce it, we can do that. That would be reserved, yes.
Make a motion then, we adopt the hotel occupancy tax.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Yeah, that ordinance, open,
Yes.
Yes.
I said,
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Agenda item number 12, discuss, consider, and take possible action regarding an emergency warning sign. I know this was brought up at the last meeting, and now it's very topical.
no, comment, double,
Okay.
Yeah, so, I got a quote. The total, now this is like, with all the bells and whistles to it, it's $45,000, that's with the backup battery and all that kind of stuff. So it would be $45,000 for one. And then if you see, they sent some sound maps over of how the sound will carry. And one station at our blue building should be sufficiently loud according to the guy, but if you look at the second, if we put one on the other city property across 35, that would be $90,000. I have asked our grant writer if there are grants for this kind of thing, so.
One thing that's happened yesterday, the governor's called a special session. Yesterday, he added 4 items relative to the Kerrville floods. And one of them is to facilitate siren warning systems.
Yeah.
So I called Senator Gutierrez's office today, Lujan and Representative Cortez. They said they hadn't heard exactly what the proposal is yet, but I suspect they're gonna provide funding for exactly this. And so my thought is maybe we should wait.
Yeah, of course.
The session is July 21st, it's a 30-day session. So by our next meeting, we should know what the program is. When I talked to Senator Gutierrez's chief, at his office, asking him specifically, is the Medina River gonna be involved? And the way it's written, it just says flood prone areas, so we should be. So I want to be up there anyway on the 21st, and that's gonna be one of the things we're talking about. So My only suggestion is that we wait 1 month, because if they do create a funded program, then we can apply, and maybe either get a better system or get funded. And then on this map, what would concern me is, the areas that I think would be more prone to flood are gonna be here on Trey Walter, especially out on the river.
We can adjust where
Yeah.
the dark dots are, you could move it to a different place.
Right.
So
The Army Heights is, if it floods there, then everyone else is like 100 feet underwater.
the dark dots are just where the actual sirens are.
Right. So it probably should be where it reaches all the way out on the river, somewhere
Yeah.
Trey Walter, and then maybe over here closer to the church, to the folks along the river. But again, if they have grant funding, maybe we can get 2 or 3. I don't know. But that would be my own concern, considering what happened. Because we have people that are actually camping there.
Yeah, and so, this would also kick into effect, you can connect it to where the weather, the NOAA, like, they set it off. It's not something that people would have to wait on us to do it. It would be, there's a weather alert, they set it off. Like, so you get a text message on your phone, not everybody gets that, they drive around and make an announcement, not everybody hears that, but this would also automatically go off.
I was looking into that this month, so at least the National Weather Service, what I found out is when they do the weather for Vaughn Army, it's Kelly Field. It's not actually here, right? And so, and I was looking at their website, and they have a program where you can start your own, it's like a citizen weather station. And it looked pretty small. You have to fence off an area, and then you have to buy, and of course they have the criteria, temperature control, and there was a water, a rain meter, a wind gauge, that kind of stuff. And then you had to have a fiber optic or a permanent internet connection, because it uploads like every 15 seconds. But one thing we could do is get an official weather station here at City Hall or wherever, so that the weather is more accurate when people look at it. So if they say a tornado is bearing down on Vaughn Army, I don't know if that means bearing down on Kelly Field, their weather station or here. So I'd like to look into that and see if it's.
We need to do that because that's what happened to Trevor. We discussed it, that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And if this approved,
Yes, that's all.
I can't look with that.
Right, if we got something covered, we got something there that.
Right, so if the state excludes us or whatever, then we can always come back next month and.
I think they're gonna take care of a lot of these small cities because of what happened.
Yeah, right. This is a lot, I mean, for us, our budget, it's a big pill to swallow.
Yeah, it would be a big,
But worth it when you need it, okay.
So we're gonna delay that too.
Yeah, let's bring it back next month, when we know more about the state project, and maybe then we can have a little info on a weather station, for the city. We'll move on to agenda item number 13, discussion on emergency management and evacuation plans. Obviously with Kerrville, the question I had, what
yeah, so we fall under Bear County, so our ICM would be the county judge, and they would give us the evacuation orders. So, that document that you signed the last meeting, that was an update to that document. We have the actual plan, it's almost 1,000 pages, so.
You just have to know, you have to.
But as far as the RV part, I think we should get with them and see what their evacuation plan is.
Right.
So we're aware of it.
Right.
Yeah,
Chief, is that something that maybe we could
yes.
put together, a training for us?
Yep.
Maybe we can do it annually,
With the AC.
or just like, maybe just different scenarios. If there's a flood, what are we doing?
Right.
What mayor, pro tem is,
We gotta have, we don't make a location in place.
right? What do we do if we, if the different, active shooter, flood, tornado, hurricane, things we can predict. I remember one year we had TxDOT call us to close I-35 bridge because it was frozen, and everybody couldn't get to us. And we didn't have any plan, I found we had one officer that lived south of the river, we could go. Anyway, yeah, if we could get something together to train us on our role when that happens, that would be great. Okay, any other discussion on emergency management or evacuation plans? Hearing none, we'll move to discussion and update on future land use map.
Thank you, Mayor. Board members, as y'all recall, while we were working on the UDC, we did some initial future land use planning. You know, usually, in the perfect world, you have a comprehensive plan that's up to date, and one of the most important aspect of the comprehensive plan is the future land use plan. That's a policy guide, but it's also, when adopted by ordinance, it's a legal guide. State law says zoning shall be in accordance, zone changes shall be in accordance with approved comprehensive plan and approved future land use plan. When you have one, state law doesn't require that you have one, but when you do have one, state law says you've got to follow it in zoning actions. And so that was something that y'all expressed desire to do. At that point in time, y'all decided, hey, you know, we don't have a UDC. We did have a zoning ordinance, which everybody agreed was outdated and, you know, in certain parts were ineffective. And so the board decided, we have a broken situation. We need a subdivision code. We need some of these other development regulations. So y'all decided, let's get this thing adopted, but we can't forget the future land use plan. We need to go back, do that, have public input on that. And if we determine that the public says, hey, if there's some things that come out in that future land use plan that aren't compatible with the UDC that we adopted, we can always go back and change that. You always need to be looking at that and making sure your UDC and your laws reflect the policies of the current council and what your community wants. So, I'm sorry. So that's what we're talking about today. We've got this draft map that we created with the former mayor and with the board, and we presented one iteration of it. Y'all had some things you wanted changed on that, and so I made those changes, but I just wanted to come back and kind of reintroduce the topic, especially since we have a new mayor, and make sure that's still a priority for y'all. Or do you want to wait on that and maybe take first things first? Maybe the strategic plan and the survey is more important, and maybe we do that rather than, you know, get the public planning fatigue and try to do both these things at the same time. The public's wondering, okay, what's the difference between the two? So that's kind of why I brought it up. I want to get direction from you guys on how I should prioritize my assistance to y'all.
I haven't looked at Stephen. How is it different than our current use?
So, great question. So the city has a zoning map, but you don't have like a future land use plan. And so the proposed one, y'all asked me, you know, the planner always taking a first stab at it. And so I approached it from, I think, you know, definitely from a compatibility standpoint, but also from a sales tax or a taxing revenue standpoint. And so there's a mix, you know, looking at, and I'll forward that to you and the rest of the board tomorrow. But, you know, looking at preserving existing areas, you know, existing areas of the city that are single family residential stays that way. It really simply broke down the city into kind of more neighborhood areas, more community type of areas where you have a mix of uses, and then more of the regional types of areas. And that's how the zoning code is compatible with that. You know, everything on I-35 is going to be regional. People come here from all different regions. San Antonio can use uses. When you get a H-E-B or a Costco, you do from Somerset, it's a regional thing. Community is a little bit more of a Family Dollar or something like that. You know, people want to drive here for that. So more of your everyday kind of uses, more community. And of course, neighborhood is, you know, right across the street. We need to protect that, make sure it stays safe from, you know, big development things. And so that was really the kind of breakdown as far as how the map's painted. It'll make sense when I send it to you. And so I remember the last board said, hey, Brandon, you got a little bit too much community. I had yellow as neighborhood, gentle, stability. Orange was more community, and of course the darker red was more regional. Everybody said, easy on the community, because I'm thinking sales tax and, you know, Family Dollar, you know, whatever other things. And so the last board was like, let's have a little more yellow, a little less orange. Definitely the three one needs to be red. So that map, I'm going to give you the most latest version. So, and then y'all you've got that for reference. And
Yeah, so now maybe that's something we also use to stimulate conversation. Do we know anything? I know the pilot is doing an expansion. Do we know anything about when that construction is going to be? Is it going to be disruptive? Do we
What's
expect
happening
it
now?
happening right now? Do we know when it's going to be completed?
3 months, probably. Yeah. They changed the scope on the project. It was just going to be like inside stuff, and then we got some exterior stuff to do. And yeah,
So is there going to be more floor space or? Like, are we expecting an increase in sales tax or looking?
Not more floor space, just revamping.
I think they're just making it nicer to kind of compete with the new truck stops that are going around.
They're not expanding to.
Like a tiny bit, but it's more for staff areas, kitchen areas.
One more thing there on the future land use map.
Yeah.
You know, as you know, a lot of cities, they'll do a future land use map, and then in their comprehensive plan, the other element of the comprehensive plan is out of the master thoroughfare plan. Back in the old days, you'd use the thoroughfare plan when a KB Homes or D.O. Horton comes in and they're saying they want to put their collector over here, or they don't want to put a collector in because those things cost more money. You look at the master thoroughfare plan and say, nope, the community said they want a collector right here, you put it right there. And there's a little bit of room for fudge. Well, collector is like okay, the idea is an arterial street is like Benton City. It collects regions. You know, it's a regional street. Like Broadway, San Pedro, Southwest Military, that's an arterial. Sometimes they're TxDOT, roads, sometimes they're not. A collector road is typically going to be like, more, maybe this road, corridors. There's lots of streets. Collectors usually connect arterials to one another. And then you've got your local streets, also called neighborhood streets. Again, an arterial, the region uses it. A collector, usually just the community uses it. A local street or neighborhood street, usually just that particular people that live on that street use it. And so in the old days, before the last legislative session, cities had a lot more powers than they do now, but one of them was you had the ability to tell the developer, hey, you need a collector here. Here's our typical street sections that we've adopted. It needs to be a 60-foot right of way, and it generally needs to go right here. And of course, they have a traffic impact analysis, and the city you can't make them put in a 6-lane road if their impacts has to be roughly proportional. But it's a guide, and you do have you have legal powers. The state, something that the local government code gave you the authority to do that. Last legislative session basically took it away and said, a city can't require a developer to put any road in that the city doesn't already have funded through a capital improvements plan, or that the county doesn't have funded through a capital improvements plan. But it did leave a carve out that said, you can still require a collector road or an arterial road from a developer if your local MPO has that plan on their main plan. And so that's really important for us. So when that first started, the last mayor and board and city manager, myself, we made good friends with the local MPO, and we went to a couple of meetings and let them know, hey, everybody's doing that. So, and for more information on that, the MPO basically just adopts the county's plan, and the county just basically adopts the city's thoroughfare plan. So essentially, the city's thoroughfare plan is the guiding thing. So just as you're getting integrated things, the future land use plan that we developed, we sort of made a hybrid. It's got future land use and future thoroughfares on there. So the idea is that you all have a document that the communities generally said, we like this future land use map, we like these roads, and you have the ability as the leaders to then go to the MPO and say, our community wants this, we want this, please include this in your plan. And they're in the middle of doing that right now. So those are some of the, the steps that we've been looking at and just get you up to speed on it. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Case immediate.
This one.
Can I just ask one question?
Yes.
Was the zoning, map approved or was it adopted or?
We have a current,
What we heard about like a couple of months ago, right?
Yes.
we have a current zoning map.
Yeah, we got,
So is that the one where
Yeah,
it says that they can tell us what to put on our property?
That's the development code. So
The map didn't change, the code changed. So the code has the zoning districts in it. So the map is just basically what you're classified
I'm
as.
asking you if we can put anything on our property to live in.
There's specific things you can put on. I think your concern from that meeting was whether or not you could put,
Right.
manufactured homes.
Yes,
And the board said that you can do that. There's some special requirements in the board.
well, what's the requirements? Real easy, it's not like 10.
Oh, there was some special, there's age, skirting, driveway. Yeah, there's a few site things, but yeah, you can still put them in.
What's the age on the manufacturing?
10 years.
10?
10 years.
And the board actually put some things in there to give you a relief process. So say you can't meet that, you can come to the board and ask for a special exception. So there's always a relief, democratic process relief that you can go to the board and issue like
If
petition.
you want, I can email you.
Excuse me?
If you want some lovely nighttime reading, I can send you.
It is only 99 pages. It's much shorter than your typical. Yeah.
I'm only interested about the community.
I know, but I'm saying, I'll be sure to get it.
Okay, thank you both.
Okay. There's no further questions. We'll move on to 15, discussion and update on ongoing developments within the city.
Yes, sir. Thanks again. Right now it's a pretty busy time, busier than ever since I've been helping y'all. I'll go from west to east in the city. So we've had a local developer, local engineer, their company is called Doxa, DOXA. They're looking at buying a 30-acre tract of land on the east side of 1604. And just north of where the floodplain and everything goes through. A lot of that property is not usable, but they're wanting to do a 3-lot, each lot is pretty large, a 3-lot commercial development. They initially talked to the city, it's out in ETJ. They talked to the city about wanting to have some participation through the city for the commercial road that would go in. The road is frankly a good start for an east-west collector that could go through. And so with the last mayor, we had conversations about that. And so a little bit of time lapsed. And so they reached out to me again to say, hey, what are the next steps? And so I told them, I said, well, you need to provide us with some more direction on what you're wanting. I asked them if they had an engineer or a land use attorney that they're working with, who's usually those kind of representatives, can assist them and know the steps that usually take place. I said something like this, usually the city is probably going to want to annex you, especially if there's any kind of participation. There's going to be an expectation for annexation. A development agreement is the process where you're going to want to know what you're going to be zoned. The city's probably going to have some concerns about zoning. I said from a consulting standpoint, I would probably be recommending planned development district. Since the city would be participating, the city's probably going to be asking for and wanting to ensure that it's a quality development. And so I told them that a development agreement is typically the next step where that's the spirit for the conversations. And so they're working on that right now. So expect them to come back within the next couple of weeks, probably with the land use attorney and their engineer. So we've got that one.
And they work with that like a
So it's 30 acres, they want to do approximately 3 10-acre parcels. And they want to go on the middle one, right? Doxa wants to go on the middle parcel. And then the back parcel, possibly some residential, the front possibly some commercial.
when you say material, what would that connect to?
It wouldn't connect to anything, and that's the thing. It's, in a perfect world, the city would have a future land use plan and a master thoroughfare plan. And that east or west would be somewhere in that area. So we're kind of doing this as we go, but that does.
If you were to extend it out, where would it
So it would give access back this way from 1604 going towards Mexico.
Connect up south of here. But it can always jog. I mean, that floodplain, we probably don't want to go through that. It's kind of, so yeah, it's a nice start to some east-west connectivity. So yeah, we'll be getting more details from them hopefully pretty soon, and then we can bring that to y'all and have public conversation about, and give us guidance as staff on. We've been working with a gentleman, Frank. Frank, I'm sure you know, really nice to work with Ultimate Diesel. They're proposing to develop a heavy truck diesel repair facility right on the west side of the circle at Benton City Road. On the north side, Benton City goes over. They don't have the front piece, but I think they're getting an option to get access off of the I-35 access. But most of that property is floodplain back there too. They want to do the front portion. They want to do a large metal building for commercial use. I let them know, that's the city's looking to develop more retail-oriented uses on that corridor, and heavy commercial is not, generally what the policy of the board has been. They really want to develop there. They've already done a lot of plans. They've hired an engineer, Bobby Delgado, in San Antonio. They have a building, it's a really large building. It's gonna be pretty commercial. And so I told them, my job is to, help facilitate the process, and I'm gonna be making a recommendation to you guys on the plan development district. Not so much, I told them my job is not to say, no, this is not good, or no, this is good. My job is to recommend to y'all through the PD that if y'all are inclined to approve a development like this, since we don't have a comprehensive plan, it's easier for me when you have that, I go, nope, they want a Costco here one day, so sorry. They wouldn't be able to do that. We don't have that yet, so in a case like this, it's my job to advise y'all as the council that if you're inclined to approve this development, here are the things I would recommend doing, through a plan development district. So I recommend the plan development district, and I told him that I'll be recommending that there are, to y'all, that if you're inclined, that y'all, adopt provisions in this plan development district that are consistent with retail uses, like make sure the orientation is nice, enhanced landscaping, no sea of asphalt in the back, lots of trees. So the idea is that maybe one day this facility could be reused for retail purpose if the market demands, and it's not an eyesore out on I-35. So I give them a heads up that, not trying to beat you over the head, but sorry, I'm gonna be making some recommendations you might not like. And he was real kind about that. So that's coming your way on the 16th. We got it all noticed. And another one that is gonna be coming is, it's called Terra Magna, right at the corner up here. There's been a lot of discussion, with them. They've been working with the city. City attorney looked at that one, and we determined that there was the potential for an argument for vesting on that one. And so the new code doesn't have specific use permit as an option for something like that, but the old one did. And so they're opting to ask for a specific use permit because they presented plans, there was a resolution a while back. And so we told them, again, the board wants some nice looking building sites development. So they prepared some plans, so that'll be coming to you too.
They came to us like 12 years ago.
Yeah. They've got like an ordinance and they're saying it was approved. I'm like, no, that's not approved. That's not a building permit. So they're gonna have to go through the process, but just based on the fact that they've submitted some plans before.
That's like a spice.
Yeah.
They wanna
Good process.
transport spices up from the border and then process and package and then ship them out.
Are they gonna have retail?
They're not gonna have retail. It's a nicer building than I was expecting for food processing. You used to just see a metal building. It's got like some, rustic panels and things. And so I'm gonna recommend more of a retail frontage on it, more glass. It's pointed in the right direction, which was a good thing. The ultimate diesel is backwards, and so it's pointed in the right direction. They got a lot of landscaping. Their images look like it's in Ireland, so they can put a lot of grass and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And so I'll have some recommendations, but it's not a.
But that won't produce much sales tax.
No, I mean it's just wholesale. It's wholesale distribution, processing. It's totally commercial.
Weren't they originally trying to do like a repair shop, tire shop?
They've gone back and forth 3 or 4 times. Then it was gonna be like a landscaping, wholesale, like they've changed it a couple times. But what they've submitted is the light fruit processing and distribution, which was permitted under a special use permit under the previous code.
I mean, they have the option. I mean, we have our new code, chapter 245, the state law says they can cherry pick if they want. But if they chose the new code, they'd have to just get a zone change, and then they'd have to do a PD again. And, an SUP is same as a PD, except they can't ask for variances through an SUP. So if they want to do that, that's.
And the grandfather, because they owned it.
They
Well,
applied previously.
Oh, because they applied.
245 talks about if you presented the city with a plan, a clear plan, and if you filed for a permit. But in this case, there's an ordinance, so we can provide that to you, Mayor. I think there's an ordinance that the city adopted that, we looked at, and it
was a weird deal. There was apparently y'all had a building moratorium for a while, and y'all granted them an exception from it that they had to submit something within 10 years, and they didn't. And so we went back and forth. I talked with one of the prior attorneys last year, and basically told them, you know, sorry, like whatever you submitted previously or whatever you thought you were gonna do, you didn't exercise your right. And so now they've come back, and just because of when they came back, we let them be vested in the old code.
They came back before we adopted the new code, and so that was kind of, we advised them on the SUP. And they had given us plans at that point in time again too, so I think that was a discussion. Might be a vesting argument there.
Right.
But they still, the city is still in the driver's seat on that. They still, it wasn't a function of whether or not they get it, it was just a function of, do they need to ask for a change of zoning district or an SUP, which same public engagement process.
Right.
If you guys said, no SUP, we don't want this, sorry, you know, there's nothing else, it's just, what's the procedure for y'all to say yes if you're inclined to. So we have that, and then we have the Encanto subdivision, working on that. There's just, you know, been working with them, and so the only thing left is just the variance for the street. So we got that notice, recommending, it totally makes sense to be able to do private streets on that for cul-de-sacs. So hopefully that's a procedural matter, get that done at the next meeting. And so yeah, we'll have the TNI, or the Ultimate Diesel, Terra Magna, and Encanto variance, subdivision variance on the next agenda. And then the only other thing that's just real probably out several months is the Verstuff property. Colliers, formerly KFW, has been reaching out, and they're looking at doing a 1 acre subdivision development. In
What?
1 acre plot size, no, but the lot size is 1 acres, yeah. So I guess, you know, the last two developers, the roadblock was Atascosa Water. So they're thinking, all right, how do we develop something with septic and, you know, minimum TC requirements for a water well and septic is 1 acre. So they're just, wow, we'll just do what we can right now. So, you know, not the worst thing in the world. It won't, you know, if the city annexes that, you know, it won't be a huge boom for property taxes. But it's better than, you know, a cookie.
Yeah, I like it. Density, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. So anyway, so we're kind of expecting that. That was about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I don't know, maybe that died, but we'll see where that goes. Keep it.
And then you know about the pilot project.
I met with Mr. Sullivan at the ISD. He had mentioned that they're working on a third high school in Walton, and so I brought up our land that we sold them for our elementary school. He said he would be back in like 2 or 3 weeks. Could we call over there? They also mentioned if you're not going to build a school there, we want the land back. Well, I'll get with everybody. Yeah, we could use that as a park. So I don't know if we could call the school district and see if they can let us know what are their current plans. If not, we can maybe send a letter.
Well, the commissioners personally know him.
Uh,
The commissioners are personally acquainted, so.
Yeah, we all know Mr. Sullivan. That's how he's on a more formal. Well, when we originally sold it to them, the promise was we'd be on the next bond, and now we're 2 bonds past. And we worked with them because they said, hey, every time we buy something, the price doubles. So we said we would, you know, Senator Wentworth gave us a good price on this land. The community wanted our own school. We thought we would, you know, they wrote along for that. There were promises to the community. So, I'd like to have that discussion, that you could put it back on the board, or the idea was they would sell it back to us at the price we sold it to them, which is pretty low. All right, plus they deal there, they're gonna have to run a sewer line. So, participate, right? Yeah, probably go fix it here. All right, any other questions on the tape? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to executive session. Do we need to go into executive session?
Because we don't have any free.
Okay, all right. That's 16 and 17. We'll move on to 18, updates regarding city business, municipal court, police department, and all other matters related to their.
Okay, let's see. We've gone, is meeting in August, we've gone during our
I'll
vacation.
give you, 12 more weeks. Probably the first week. We're gonna have a meeting before, well,
That would be what the 12th?
yeah, that's on a Tuesday. So we can have it probably Thursday.
And you're actually back again.
And I'll be back by, Thursday looks like it's back to Thursday.
Oh, 30, okay. So do we want to meet the 10th or 11th?
The 10th, that's on a.
It's a Wednesday?
It's a Sunday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that's September. So the 11th is a Monday.
Another Monday, that's the Thursday before.
The 7th of August? Fine.
That would be,
I don't mind meeting on the weekend either. The 7th. All right, we're going to the 7th of August?
we got a lot of things to take care of.
Yeah, okay. 6:30 on August 7th. And then, since we're doing that, I had planned a vacation 2 years ago, so I'm gonna be out in October from the 1st, and I'll be back on the 24th. So I don't know if we wanna do it the next meeting, we could do it
Do the last.
the 30th or the 27th, be Monday. Yeah. Well, of October? 27th of October? I'll make a motion that we change, or I'll entertain a motion that we change the September regular meeting, the August regular meeting to, Thursday, August 7th at 6:30, and the October regular meeting to Monday, October 27th at 6:30. We have a motion to go second.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Any other updates?
In yours is October.
October, 27th.
You all want to set a budget workshop?
Yes.
I think you should, actually,
The 17th, next Thursday.
17th?
The 17th
This one,
of July,
July 17th,
1 week from today. No, take it back. Yeah, that's right.
6:30.
Okay.
Or don't you have
I'm flying in Wednesday at 5 o'clock. That should be available Thursday.
a, fire?
No. Gotta do that.
And then we got the audit drafts back. So we need to meet with the auditors to go over that stuff.
We do it that same meeting? The next kind of budget, audits and budget? Or do we need our own meeting for?
Well, then, I think we need to go over the drafts first and then they present the final.
Okay.
Unless I can check.
When you say go over it, they're gonna be here to present it, or we just need to go over it ourselves?
Well, they will come present to you the final copy. So
Right.
if y'all wanna get together and go over the drafts, it's up to you.
what you should do is stuff.
I didn't approve it, y'all can. I have gone over the drafts.
Is there anything that stands out? Or is it all standard?
They will not, well. For fiscal years 21 and 22, because there was fraud, they will not give official statements for 21 and 22. So
Yeah.
23 and 24 will be full audits, but 21 and 22, they didn't do the full compilations. They won't like put their stamp or seal or whatever you call it.
Let's let those sit there.
We'll still have the documents, they just won't be like full financial.
Do we have a draft for all 4 years? And for most grants, they ask for the last 2 years. There's no other way we're going to do that.
It is what it is.
Okay. Well, if we don't need a meeting, we can go over it, and then I guess, is there anything else on there that comes out other than that factor?
I mean, we just have to go through it.
I'm happy to go through it with, we don't need to have a formal meeting, everyone can just read it and have it come to the formal. Okay. All right, anything else on there? We already approved, do you have questions on that?
No, it's a,
I'll talk to Chief after this about the establishment, where you got it. Court training software,
It's cool, it's good.
that's when to 9.
Whenever you're ready, let me know, and it's easy. It'll be good. It's way faster.
Okay, are there any other updates?
You should be able to use it.
good report to you.
All right. Hearing none, then we'll move on to adjournment. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye. We are adjourned at 8:02 PM.
Anybody get that?
Yes.
Because nobody called me, I thought you said they called me.
All right.